This is my first recorded video after coming back from Pro Tour London, and I gotta be honest, I'm basically recording this as I'm coming off the plane. Carly and I have been home less than an hour, but ProQuest season is right around the corner. It starts this weekend, and I want to make sure that you guys are prepared. So we're going to break down the things that I liked about my list from Pro Tour London, the cards that I felt like overperformed, some of the cards that maybe underperformed, and we're going to talk about what tweaks we're going to make so that you can be prepared for ProQuest starting this weekend. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is my exact 80 from Pro Tour London that I finished 14th with this past weekend. Starting off with our equipment up here at the top, it's a pretty standard loadout. There's nothing really interesting until we get to the sideboard. But pretty standard loadout suite. Probably not going to change much of the equipment here that we have in our primary loadout. As we keep looking at the deck, I am on 3 Arcanic Shockwaves. I know a lot of people had trimmed on those. I feel like this card is basically just always a 0 for 5. I like this card a lot because it forces decks into awkward situations when you have a Channel Lightning Valley in play. This card blocks for 3. It is an auto 3 of, in my opinion. I'm not going to be cutting it. Burn Up and Shock also feels really good. It's just a great, it's a boom grenade. It can randomly kill people at instant speed. You can also draw cards defensively with it. Burn Up and Shock, absolutely insane. 3 Electromagnetic Somersault is not something I was always on. For a long time, I played 2. I think that being on 3 is just correct. It just works well offensively and defensively. Defensively, it's a 1-card 6 or a 1-card 5. It can also just be a 0 for 4 on offense if you're winning the game. So I like this card a lot on defense. It fits really well into both categories, and I don't see a reason to trim numbers on this. In Lightning Strike, again, there's always the, awkward hands with E-Strike where you don't really have a lightning card to really enable anything. It's so flexible. This card's insane. Just having it on the embodiment turn, being able to go 0 for 5, draw a card, go again is absolutely insane. I love E-Strike. There's no world I'm ever cutting this card. Love E-Strike. It's a great utility card, and it's a really solid finisher if we need it to be. In Twine Lightning, I know I say this every time I do a deck take about Aurora. It's just my favorite card in the deck. It's just a 0 for 4 that basically always has go again. I love Entwine Lightning. If you're cutting this card, you're going to have some serious, pretty serious reasons in the comments below. Flittering Charge is a card that people have been back and forth on. With the number of instants I'm playing in my deck, I like having Flittering Charge in the list. There's a very consistent number of go again pieces that we have a Flittering Charge. I like this as a 3 of. It only blocks 2, but just a 0 for 4 with pretty consistent go again feels really good to me. Gone in a Flash is a great 3 block. Just again, a 0 for 4 here. It blocks 3. You have some pretty powerful upsides with embodiments and electrostatic discharge. This card's very powerful. I like it a lot. The fact that it blocks 3 makes it just like an auto include in my opinion, but Gone in a Flash just always going to have the floor and the ceiling of the cards that you want in our aggressive Aurora list. Next up is Lightning Press. Lightning Press is great. I know that some people have kind of been trimming numbers on this, into certain matchups and certain things, and I definitely understand why. I really like Lightning Press. It lets us go over the top to push Burn Up. It lets us push Snatch effects, anything that we're really looking to get aggressive with. Lightning Press really works out well. It also lets us close the game out if we need to. I like Lightning Press as a 3 of. Probably not going to trim on any of it here. Lightning Surge is absolutely great. I know a lot of people have been cutting this from their deck entirely. Andrea Mengucci just said in his most recent article on TCG Player that this was an auto 3 of for him. He did not want to cut this at all. He really liked it. Playing 2 of this felt really, really clean to me. Having that Lightning starter from Arsenal can be very, very powerful, but this can be one of the clunkier cards that you can draw into if you don't have an embodiment or snaps available to you. So I think that Lightning Surge is just a great 2 of, plus it allows me to fit in my 7th blue that I want to be playing. So I really like 2 of this card. I'm going to stick with 2. It feels really clean. Ravenous Rabble. I know a lot of people have been cutting Ravenous Rabble to be on the Serenade and Skizzik plan. This weekend, we're going to talk more about Serenade and Skizzik as the video goes on here, but I'm keeping Ravenous Rabble in the deck. It's just a solid 0 for 4 majority of the time. It hits what we want it to be. It's a great card, and I like the non-conditional go again on this card. Snatch with the embodiment, it's just a great chain ender. It's also a great chain starter if you have the embodiment. Snatch, absolutely insane. Don't know why we'd ever cut this card. It's probably just the best generic 0 for 4 that you can be playing in aggro decks like this. Static Shock is also a card that a lot of people have been cutting. I'm a big proponent of 3 blocks. I really like having the electromagnetic somersault to be able to like block and get them back. Being able to block a Command and Conquer with 2 cards and somersault them back is absolutely insane. It is a powerhouse of a play. I love making that play. It feels really good, really clean. Static Shock, again, just continues to be a solid like 0 for 4/5, depending on the situation. Blocks 3, it's great. I could see trimming on numbers, like maybe you play 2 Static Shocks and 3 Lightning Surges if you wanted to. Could be a situation you could look at depending on how it keeps moving forward, but I like Static Shock as a 3 of. Arc Lightning, this card needs no introduction. We're not going to spend any time on it. Absolutely insane. Channel Lightning Valley, again, another powerhouse card. I love this card. It's great. Draws cards, instant speed. Arsenaling Channel Lightning Valley is absolutely insane. Being able to arsenal this card and then just like set up for like if they throw a Command and Conquer at you, a Leave No Witnesses, anything that disrupts your arsenal and you have this in your arsenal, Chef's Kiss is absolutely amazing. I love having Channel Lightning Valley in Arsenal. Feels very, very powerful in a really good place that you want. This card's absolutely great. Current Funnel seems to be the blue that everybody can agree on, whether you're on 3 or 9 blues, no matter how many you're playing. Everybody agrees that Current Funnel feels like the place to be and what you want to be doing. I like Current Funnel a lot. I'm never going to cut this card. It's absolutely insane. Just being able to give your next thing go again, plus like it being a blue, a block 3, it costs 0. It checks all the boxes. It does all the things we want it to. Our last blues are really where I vary for some people, and this is where it gets a little bit interesting and where we're going to spend some more time talking. Blue Heaven's Claws is a card that some people are playing and some people are not playing. When I went to PT London, I was a big fan of having this card as a 3 of because I liked being able to block with it and somersault it back. There were a lot of times I got to block with a Arcanic Shockwave and a Heaven's Claw and just somersault them back after blocking 6. Like I covered up 2 Command and Conquers this weekend doing that, and it feels absolutely insane when you're able to do that. So I think this card is really good, and if you're on the fence about it, I think having Heaven's Claws in the deck is a really good place to be in. I was on a 1 of Written in the Stars because 6 blues didn't feel like enough, but 9 felt like too many, and so 7 put me in that sweet spot. Put me in that spot where I really wanted to be, and it felt really, really clean. But I have to say, there were a number of times this weekend when I would play an Arc Lightning and my opponent would not block the Arcane, and then I would be left with like Written in the Star, or like I would be left with like Heaven's Claws, and I would be left with like an Electrostatic Discharge and an attack, but not really multiple ways to be able to like set up that go again and really get aggressive with the Arc Lightning. Having 3 copies of Written in the Stars would have allowed me to dig through my deck, create that embodiment so that I can continue the Arc Lightning train going, and then like keep drawing cards to like kind of set up and fuel that game plan. So I think this is some of the numbers we're going to talk about and we're going to tweak a little bit, but Written in the Stars felt like it definitely could have been a 3 of, which I know is a big change of how I felt about this card in the past. But at the PT, there were multiple situations where I really would have liked to have had blue Written in the Stars instead of Heaven's Claws. But the other side of that coin is that I did block with Heaven's Claws and somersault it back a lot this weekend. So it's kind of which side of the sword do you want to be on here? When we talk about our sideboard, I do have Electrostatic Discharge in the sideboard just because I'm not on it in every match. With the way my sideboard was set up and the way I was playing, I did have this into most of my aggro matchups. The upside of being able to go Arc Lightning, Gone in a Flash, discharge it into like do something else, throw something for 7 is very, very powerful. I really like this card. I think it fits well with Flittering Charge. It works well with Gone in a Flash. This card feels very, very powerful, and I like it a whole bunch. I don't see a reason to get rid of this card, but this also kind of goes back to our Serenade and Skizit conversation that we're going to have a little bit later in the video here. Exude Confidence. This card has been an absolute all-star. There was a game against Kano this weekend where I actually got to put this on the chain with an embodiment when they were like at 8 and I had a full grip. Now, to be fair, I had a blue in my hand anyway, and I had Shock Charmers up, so I don't really think they were going to be able to get there. But the Exude like really forced the issue very early on in the turn, and I like that a lot. Exude Confidence is really good into a lot of these decks that are playing a lot of defense reactions. Like a lot of the Assassins are on like 9 to 12 defense reactions. Enigma's on quite a few defense reactions. Florian's on quite a few defense reactions. So Exude Confidence felt like it really held its own this weekend. Don't get me wrong, there can be some clunkers because this is a generic 0 for 4 with no natural go again. But even with the blue, you can throw it and pump it to do some kind of like shenanigan stuff with it. So I like Exude Confidence a lot. This will be definitely staying in my list. Fry is a card that I have went back and forth on a lot. This is a card that I was playing, I was not playing. Like, do I like it for consistency? Like, what is the purpose of this card? I like Fry because it is a non-conditional lightning go again starter. Like, there's no condition on the go again. It is a 0 for 3 lightning card with go again. It is a great way to start the turn. If you're left with just this and you have Tunic up, you have a 1-card 5 because you can go Tunic in to use you can throw Fry for 3 and then you can use Tunic to throw your weapon. Now, I know that there's more than just one card involved there, but it does feel really, really clean. I like this card a lot. The fact that it has specifically a 0 block instead of having nothing there means it plays her on the weakest link, which I like a lot. We're going to talk about some of the changes that are going to come with the Fry slot and what that's going to look like here when we get into my ProQuest list and what I'm going to be playing for this week of ProQuests. But Fry was a great card. It felt really good. If you've been on the fence about playing Fry, I would say that your reservations, like, you're good. Like, ship the reservations. Fry is a good card. It fits well. It does the role that we need it to do. Scar for a Scar in the aggro matchups, absolutely insane. It's just a 0 for 4 with go again. If you're forced to go first into aggro matchups, I like this card a lot because it's very easy to get behind. And this is a, hey, I'm behind, so this card has go again. And I like that a lot. I think Scar for a Scar is a very fundamental part of, like, how the game was designed to be played by LSS. And I like this card a lot. It fits really well into what we want to do. I like this card. I don't see myself cutting this. Some people were on 9 defense reactions, so if I was going to play defense reactions 7 through 9, maybe it's the Scar for a Scar slot. I'm not sure. Some people were on 2. I like 3. It fits well into a lot of matchups where people are kind of trying to like throw stuff at us and block a little bit. Scar for a Scar feels good. It'll probably stay in the deck. Shelter and Sigil felt really good. There are some matchups where Sigil just doesn't do exactly what I would like for it to do. There were a lot of situations this weekend where Sigil was kind of like, it was okay. I think Sigil is a necessary evil. This is one of those cards that I think you have to pick your spots with. You have to be pretty patient. You have to really look for that window to try and find what you want. Shelter the Storm and Sigil of Suffering are like, they're going to stay in the deck. They feel really good. If you do not have the ability to play Shelter the Storm because you can't find them or because you can't afford them, whatever the situation is, I think Sink Below is a perfectly fine replacement for this card. But I am going to be playing 6 defense reactions. I will not be going up to 9. Flicker Wisp is a card that I have not been very big on. And I know some people, like Purple Abbey, she even plays it in the main deck. There are some people who really like this card, and I've been very like, meh, with this card. This card really earned its chops for me this weekend. I like it a lot. It felt really good. It played well and exactly into the matchups I needed to. It actually won me a game in round 14 against Enigma. I drew a crazy hand where I had double Flicker, double Arc, and a Channel Lightning Valley. It was absolutely insane. But Flicker Wisp is still going to be a 3-of for me. I'm keeping it in the deck. As you guys know, I really like to keep the 3-ofs in my deck quite a bit because I like to be able to like sideboard them out in and out pretty evenly. Flicker Wisp felt great. It earned its slot, and I will be on it for ProQuest season, especially considering that I think Enigma is going to be very popular this weekend. Ninth Blade of the Blood Oath. If you guys watched my camera match in round 15 from PT London this past weekend, then you probably saw me playing this card. This card as a 2-of did feel really good. I have to say that the only Prism I did play against came in round 15 this weekend. I know a lot of people have been on Down and Dirty in this spot because they like to be able to arsenal it against Enigma and then get a Phantasmaclasm with it. And I completely understand that point of view. And if you're stuck on the fence because you think you're going to see more Enigmas and you're going to see Prism at your ProQuest this weekend, then I think Down and Dirty is a great option to pick. It's something that you can, arsenal and set up as a really good popper. It'll feel really clean for you. But I'm going to be sticking with Ninth Blade just because I know that there are a number of prisms that are going to be at my ProQuest this weekend. Ninth Blade is great because it cannot be Herald of Triumph and it cannot be reprimanded in the same turn because it has 9 power. This card's really good. I think it works well. It also pitches if you need it to. You can pitch it to Aurora. Now, once you pitch it to Aurora, the jig is up. They will know exactly what's going on. But this card has one purpose in my deck. It is to pop Heralds that cannot be disrupted, interrupted, anything. I love this card. It will be a 2 of in my deck this weekend. Balance of Justice is one we're going to talk about here a little bit. With a couple of the changes that I'm making to the deck, we're probably going to end up cutting Balance and slotting in another headpiece in its place. We'll talk about that more here in just a little bit, but Balance was okay, but never great for me. It was like, I would say it was like, okay-ish this weekend, but nothing to write home about. Tunic, absolutely staying in the deck. Like, this is great. I love Tunic. It fits into all the matchups we need it to, into all the grindy matchups. It feels great. I like having Tunic in the deck. We're not going to cut this card in any way. Lightning Greaves, again, if you watch my round 15, you probably understand why we could never cut Lightning Greaves. 1, I think having AB1 is too important. 2, I've learned this weekend that it's going to be really good against Prism and it helps spell us out against Arclight Sentinel. So I like having Lightning Greaves in the deck. I have updated some of the sideboard matchups for people that are YouTube members or Twitch subscribers with the deck and what I'm going to be playing this weekend. So Lightning Greaves, absolutely great. Shock Charmers, it's ProQuest season. It's not the Pro Tour. I will be on Shock Charmers. There are too many. There's always a local Kano somewhere. I don't want to lose to Kano. I want to be prepared. I'm going to be on Shock Charmers this weekend. It felt good this past weekend when I played against Kano, and I like having it in here for a multitude of matchups. So Shock Charmers absolutely going to be in the deck. Now let's take a look at all of the changes that I'm going to be making to make sure that you have an updated list for your ProQuest. All right, this is my updated 80 for ProQuest season for this coming weekend. Some of the changes are because I think that ProQuest is more of an open field, and I would rather be open for more things that are going on. But a lot of the changes are just things that I found from this past weekend that I want to be more prepared for going into week 1 of ProQuest. So again, we have Crown of Providence, Carapace, Grasp, Snap, Starfall, all the usual suspects here up at the top. As we continue looking, our entire top row looks pretty similar. Shockwave, Burn Up and Shock, Somersault, E-Strike, and Twine Lightning, Flittering Charge, Gone in a Flash. All of these were the same 3-ofs that I had in my deck that I was playing at PT London. I'm going to continue to have these as 3-ofs in my deck for the first week of ProQuest season. Let's continue taking a look at the deck here. As we get into our second row a little bit, we still have 3 Lightning Press. We have 2 Lightning Surge. We have 3 Ravenous Rabble. Uh-oh, what's this? We have 3 Sizzle in the deck. I have decided that I think cutting Fry and playing 3 Sizzle is the way to go. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this that we're going to talk about here. 1, I've added Face Purgatory to the deck. If we have Sizzle in the deck, I now have 12 non-attack actions. I'm going to be on 3 Written in the Stars, 3 Arc Lightning, 3 Sizzle, 3 Burn Up and Shock. 12 is all you need to make the math consistently work with Face Purgatory, in my opinion. Plus, Sizzle works out really well off of Starfall to be able to attack for 5. Everybody keeps telling me it's very powerful. We're going to give it a try this weekend. I have some concerns with, the fact that we're playing E-Strike, Ravenous Rabble, Snatch. We're also playing Exude Confidence. We're playing Scar for Scar on the sideboard. There's a lot of generic attacks that we're going to be playing. With that in mind, I still think that Sizzle is worth a try. I have cut Fry and I have added Sizzle to my main deck 51 because I'm always going to be on Sizzle, and I like this card a lot because it works so well with Purgatory and a lot of our other synergies that we're going to be working with. Sizzle, going to be a 3-of over Fry for ProQuest season. Snatch, Static Shock, Arc Lightning, all the same cards here. Channel Lightning Valley, 3 Current Funnels, again, all similar. I'm going to swap up my Written in the Stars and my Heaven's Claws numbers. That is for exactly the reason that I talked about just a minute ago. When we talked about Arc Lightning and the Written in the Stars turns, having Heaven's Claws felt like, not that great to me. So I really like the idea of having Written in the Stars in the deck when it comes to those Arc Lightning turns, because I feel like it lets you churn through your deck. It lets you continue to do things. And if there's ever a world where we've dealt arcane damage and we have a Written in the Stars in our hand as a Chain Ender, we can just end the turn on this. which is still very, very good. It creates an embodiment and draws us a card for an arsenal. I'm going to be on 3 Written in the Stars. There's, like, again, for the reasons I just mentioned, because it works well with Arc Lightning, it's a good chain ender, and I also really like it because it's a blue 3-block that works well with Purgatory. The one downside is kind of what I talked about in the first part of the deck tech here, is when I talked about how Heaven's Claws and Somersault is absolutely insane. I love being able to block with a 2-card 6 and then somersault them back. Feels so powerful. Written in the Stars has a different purpose, and for this week 1 of the open meta, we're going to be looking to use Written in the Stars and get as much value as we possibly can. Moving on to the sideboard here, a lot of this is going to look very similar to you guys. I'm still on Electrostatic Discharge. Now, admittedly, with Sizzle being in the main deck, I am on it less than I am in other matchups, but having Sizzle in the main deck is a 0 for 3 that works with Purgatory, and it also gives me the value of having a 2-block where Discharge doesn't block at all. So I really like that a lot because we're adding to our consistency. Now, we are leaving ourselves more open to Warmonger's Diplomacy, but I really like this change because having Discharge in some of those aggro matchups can actually be a burden if you have it in a situation where, like, you need to be able to block with something. Exude Confidence, Scar for a Scar, Shelter from the Storm, Sigil of Suffering, Flicker Wisp, Ninth Blade of the Blood Oath, or not, yeah, that's however you say it. All of these cards, I love these sideboard cards. They all serve a very important purpose in the matchup. Exude Confidence, choose through defense reaction hands. Scar for a Scar is great in the mirror. Defense reactions are important in almost any meta, especially with so many aggro decks running around. Flicker Wisp is really good at clearing a mirror guy if you need it to. You can have it be 2 arcane damage. You can use it to close the game out against a Florian if you need to when they're at 1. You can also use it with your combo when you draw Arc Lightning. You don't have to just play Flicker Wisp on your Arc Lightning turn, but man, does it feel good to absolutely have Flicker Wisp and Arc Lightning in the same hand. Again, we talked about Ninth Blade, and we talked about, like, Down and Dirty and people in that slot that they were running. I really like the idea of having Ninth Blade in the sideboard as opposed to having Down and Dirty. If you know there's going to be like 6 Enigmas in your metagame this weekend, play Down and Dirty. Being able to arsenal that card and then just pop a Phantasmaclasm, absolutely insane. It's an amazing power play. But I know there's a lot of prisms that I'm going where I'm going to be at, so I am going to be on Ninth Blade as I really like how it plays and it fits really well into what I'm trying to do. I did add Face Purgatory into the deck. I know that I was off Face Purgatory for a while just because of the number of, instants, not attacks. Like, the ratios weren't exactly fitting with what I wanted. Now that we're on 3 Writtens, 3 Burn-Ups, 3 Arc Lightnings, and 3 Sizzles, I like this card a lot. 12 non-attack actions is all you need. If you're playing all of these non-attack actions I just listed and you're playing Skyward Serenade and Skizzik, I don't know why you wouldn't be playing this card. Face Purgatory was the biggest piece of equipment that I missed this weekend. I really, really wished that I would have had Face Purgatory, whether it would have been for the mirror or whether it would have been for, anything else. I like Face Purgatory a lot. It feels really clean. Like, this card's great. With the amount of non-attack actions that we're going to be playing, Face Purgatory automatically getting ran into the deck. Because honestly, it probably would have helped me more than Balance of Justice did in my camera match in round 15. So having Face Purgatory in the deck feels really good. Vandal Spring Tunic is something we're going to spend just a moment to talk about here because I actually received some really good insight this weekend from Lupine Fiasco John. You guys probably know him. He's a great content creator. He's a great guy. I had a chance to catch up with him. Love chatting with him. We were talking about the value of Tunic in the mirror versus playing Dyadic Carapace. And that was a really interesting conversation because, as you guys know, I have been on the, Carapace blocks. We want it for this, and so on and so on and so on. I have since heard from John and from others that playing Tunic in the mirror is just the way to go. And they're telling me that, they will use it efficiently if they have to from time to time. But most of the time, they're just letting it go to 3 and they're just leaving it there. And they're just going to let it sit and stare at you if you're playing Sigil of Suffering in the mirror, which is really interesting to me. I hadn't really considered that. That wasn't something that came across my mind. So I really like the idea of just running Tunic into the mirror. So I will be trying it this weekend anytime I play the mirror, just as like some extra value there. So I really like it. It seems like a cool idea. It seems pretty neat. There's also some people that are playing Zap Clappers into you. Some people are playing it in their decks. They'll be playing it in the mirror. I'm not personally a fan of Zap Clappers. I won't be on it. But I do know that there were some lists that were doing well with it in their deck. This also helps us play around Zap Clappers once we get that Tunic up and running. So I really like the idea of running it in the mirror, and I will be trying it this weekend. We already kind of talked about Lightning Greaves and the ability to help us get over Arclight Sentinel. If I had had it instant and Lightning Greaves, I would have been able to play around the Arclight Sentinel and probably win my camera match that I was on. But I do like Lightning Greaves. It's AB1. It fits well against Prism. We're going to have it in the deck. I won't be cutting Shock Charmers. I think Shock Charmers is too good. In an open ProQuest meta, it just feels too necessary for me. The last thing that we're going to talk about is Skyward Serenade and Skizik. A lot of people were very blown away that I was not playing it this weekend. And to be fair, coming in 14th at the PT shows that I made that decision intentionally, and I stand by it. I stand by that decision. I understand the value of playing Skyward Serenade and Skizik. When you have it with the Arc Lightning combo, it's absolutely insane. But there's a lot of downside to having Skyward Serenade and Skizik in the deck. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of them, and I don't like having them in my list. And we're going to kind of talk about them and break them down here for just a minute. Skyward Serenade is obviously the piece that you want to draw. When you have a piece that you want to draw, and then you have a piece that is designed to be tutored from the other piece that you draw, it feels really, really bad if you draw the secondary piece. The secondary piece being Skizik in this situation. Now, most people's argument is, oh, it blocks 3, or oh, it pitches to Starfall. You're not wrong, and I hear what you're saying. But if you're consistently drawing Skizik instead of drawing Skyward Serenade, you're now putting yourself in situations where your Skyward Serenades are worse later on in the game, which I don't like at all because they feel incredibly awkward. The +1 and go again can still be good from time to time, but you're spending an excuse me. You're spending an entire card for +1 and go again. That's not that good. I really don't like this because every time you draw Skizik first, it feels really bad. Unless you just have commanding tempo, you don't really have a situation where you can pitch it. Most of the time you need to block with it. And every time you block with a Skizik, you're just making your Skyward Serenades worse. I know that everybody thinks I'm crazy. I stand by it. I do not like Skyward Serenade and Skizik, and I will not be on it this weekend for ProQuest. Guys, let me know in the comments down below what you think about my deck list, what changes you might make, and how you feel about Skyward Serenade and Skizik. I know I have a very unpopular opinion. I'd be curious to hear why you think I'm wrong. I'm always open to new opinions. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take it easy, guys.